Hallelujah!
Welcome to ADHD Whiskey, and welcome to the 8th day of the Minnesota Whiskey Elite Blind Whiskey Tasting Advent Calendar of Love. If you're loving this series, or hating this series, or just coming across the Advent Calendar for your first time, hit the subscribe button, like the video, and watch me guess this whiskey in 8 smells or less. America? When I first decided that one smell per day of the month was a good idea, when I originally thought of that, I didn't realize how, messy it was gonna get. How cumbersome, how hard to watch. A bit cringe, as the kids would call it. But this is the moment where the cold water approaches the waistline. You're already this far, so you might as well keep on trucking. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Jack Daniel's Barrel Proof Rye. That is my guess. At first, I wasn't quite picking up on a rye. I was getting a lot of almond cookie notes. But then the more and more I nosed it, 5, 6, 7, the more I started to pick up on this red wininess. And then underneath that was seemingly a sweet rye smell. Do I get concerned saying rye after the debacle on day number 6? Yes, but that's in the rear view mirror. That's behind us now. We're gonna forget about that, and we're gonna move forward gracefully and professionally and beautifully. There are a lot of golden notes here, and as the whiskey warms up in my hands, it begins to aeromate additional aromas aggressively through the orifice of this Glencairn glass. It smells like warm molasses cookies and ginger snaps, like dancing gingerbread men. Then there is some biscotti cookie as well. I'm not sure if maybe I'm just in the mood for cookies or not. I'm always in the mood for cookies, but this is really reminding me of a nice Christmas style cookie. Day number 8, down the chimney. Oh, oh, oh. That is not Jack Daniel's. Son of a bee. That is a more rye-forward rye whiskey. That is a more prominent, higher rye whiskey. That to me feels like an MGP rye whiskey, a 95.5. It is very bold. It's very spicily sweet, like 95.5 rye whiskeys tend to be. The palate on day number 8 is both spicy and sweet, but the finish is a lingering spice. This doesn't strike me as a young rye whiskey. It has a little bit of maturity to it, and you can tell that just by the roundedness of it. When it first hits the palate, it's a soft landing, like if D.B. Cooper would have landed in a field of marshmallows. But that gentle landing is just the calm before the storm, because as it builds and works towards the back of the palate, it gets all prickly and rye-like. Like if a polar bear sat its fat ass down on some thin ice. Poomph! Third sip. Each sip has been a little bit different, but all 3 have been very enjoyable. This is the only thing I've tasted today, so as my palate has acclimated to the alcohol, the proof point has softened a little bit, but still seems pretty brash, which leads me to believe that whatever is in this glass probably isn't cheap. MGP rye whiskey, not usually super expensive, but as you add age and proof to it, it starts to build the cost a bit more. So I'm guessing whatever is in this glass isn't extraordinarily cheap, even though there seem to be extra layers in the flavor department that would separate this from a really cheap rye whiskey, and I'm not even sure if it justifies me reaching for it all the time. I do think it is good, but I don't think that it's something you'd be craving. I feel like this flavor profile isn't extra unique, and you can get it in a lot of places. Therefore, today, the 8th day of the Minnesota Whiskey Elite Blind Whiskey Tasting Advent Calendar for lovebirds and songbirds, sample number 8 receives a score from me of 7.1. It is good. It is good. What are we drinking on day number 8? I have an envelope right here that will answer that question for us. Schling! Day number 8. And I'm feeling great. Hopefully you're feeling just as well. If not, turn that frown upside down. Otherwise, I'll have to come over there and beat you into smiling. On the 8th day, we were drinking. Son of a bitch. Oh, wait. Oh. This is Mayor Pingree 6-year rye whiskey single barrel. I thought that it was another bourbon. When I first saw this, I just thought it was another bourbon. And I was like, how is my rye meter that far off? How could it possibly be that far off? No, this is a rye whiskey, and it is 126.4 proof. That explains the burn. 6 years old, tastes older than that. Both of the Mayor Pingree picks we've tried in succession have tasted older than the stamp that's on the label. I think it says barrel number I-94, and if I'm correct, the I in the barrel number stands for Indiana. Pretty sure. Going back to yesterday's, and the barrel number on this one is also beginning with an I. So the bourbon yesterday was probably also MGP, which would make sense. Very pretty pictures. Look at la 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 la. That was 2 Mayor Pingree picks back to back. I think I enjoyed the bourbon more than the rye, but that's pretty typical of me. For me to really love a rye, it's got to stand out a little bit. Got to be a bit different. Got to do things a bit different in the rye world. Stand out a bit. That's going to do it for day number 8. Thank you so much for watching. My name is Matt. This is ADHD Whiskey. Like I always say, keep your head in the clouds, but your mind on realizing what day of the month it is. And if you haven't figured it out yet, it's the 8th. So if you're still shopping and it's the kind that's online, maybe get your shit together. Get those fingers a swiping, because when it comes to delivery, you don't want to be sweating on Christmas Eve nighting. That's dumb. If there's something that you want to get somebody from the internet, order it soon. Otherwise it won't arrive on time, and then it'll ruin the entire day. And it'll be your fault. And everybody who you wanted to make happy will be unhappy. And that's the opposite of what you wanted, isn't it? That's the opposite. And if there's anything that you don't want to happen on Thanksgiving, and by Thanksgiving I obviously meant Christmas, it's for your loved ones to be unhappy. So bring them to Pappy. Or have them bring you to Pappy, so that you're happy. Makes sense. Love you guys. See you tomorrow for day number 9.